only lost 6 points on serve tonight. Pretty impressive. Just talk about the overall win.
I felt good. It's always fun playing at home. These conditions have always suited my game really well. Humidity, ball moving quick through the air. So overall, especially considering coming off the back of obviously we were pretty emotional, crazy 3 weeks between Mallorca and Wimbledon. Overall, I was pretty pleased with how I played.
Just in the last couple of weeks, how much have you tried to balance like pushing yourself, resting, and then looking at the long term?
Well, when I first came back, I gave myself about 3 or 4 days to just kind of not do anything and just kind of live in it for a minute.
Yeah.
And then starting last Monday, I got back in the gym just to try to start up my routine. Wanted to let my body rest as well. So I got in the gym on Monday. Body felt good. Didn't feel any aches or pains. Got in the gym again on Tuesday. Did some conditioning. It's like, you know what? I think I'll be ready. I'm feeling pretty good. So on Wednesday, got back out on the court, and then once I got on the court, I felt like I was striking the ball pretty well. So it was, all in all, I had that. I think I got back on, lost on Wednesday, got back on Friday. I gave myself Friday, Saturday, Sunday to just kind of rest. And then coming up Monday, Tuesday, just did gym. Felt fine in the gym. Got on court on Wednesday, and been on court ever since. So, I mean, that was kind of my window of time to just kind of live in it and rest a minute, give the mind, the body a break, and then jump back on the court. And been in a pretty good routine ever since.
I think it was the fifth game, the second set. There was a couple backhand winners that seemed pretty happy about, or smiling yourself. You seemed like you're really enjoying yourself in this moment.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've really been enjoying myself over the past few weeks, and I think that's probably been a big contributing factor to the success. I've gone through phases in my career where I was super serious and super hard on myself. I think I realized that I play a lot of my best tennis when I'm just kind of enjoying it, good or bad. I'm just kind of smiling out there and just trying to, just have as much fun as possible. And I think that's probably what you saw at those points.
Chris, I cool to have Cam Newton, your Westlake brother, Washington United brother.
That was cool. That was cool. I knew he was coming, so when I got on court, I didn't know he was going to be there right at 7, which was really cool. I looked up as soon as we walked on court, and I could see he's very distinguishable figure.
Yes.
So when I looked up and I saw him, I was like, wow, he actually came. So that was really, really cool.
And you tried. You want to hit Andres. What about that shot? Where you,
that's a shot that
you could have went at him, but you didn't.
I think if I'm not up a break, I'll probably go right at him.
Yeah.
And he knows it. That's why we had a nice little exchange. We practice together all the time, so it wouldn't have been any surprise. But I mean, it's especially considering the score, it's a big point, and back and forth game, a deuce that game, getting the second break is always important. And I had that backhand, and I wanted to just tattoo it right up the middle, but elected to try to go around him, missed it wide, and he gave me a nice thumbs up afterwards to say good shot. So, yeah, that's all that was. I think at the scoreline, maybe it's a little bit closer. I maybe take a different approach, but we luckily I was able to. I think I lost that game anyway, but at the end of the day, I was able to get the match.
Chris, you come here from Europe off of the best run of your career. What is the confidence? How does it feel and different with all of we had a 9 wins on the trot, I think, there with the title in Mallorca and then the quarterfinals at Wimbledon?
I don't know if it feels that much different. It definitely feels a sense of calm being back at home, being able to sleep in my own bed, playing in conditions that, I was very outspoken about how I didn't like the grass at the beginning, but I've always liked these courts. I've always liked humidity. I've always liked hard courts. I always liked bouncy conditions. So this feels really, really at home. So I think, it's just there's a sense of peace and a sense of calm that comes from playing in your hometown, having someone support, sleeping in your own bed. So it's tough to really say if anything's different right now. I think I'm living in this kind of bubble where I'm staying at home and things like that. So it makes for a really fun week.
Ask the same question. Does it feel differently coming here now, having the success as opposed to previous times where you were up and coming and trying to fight your way out?
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of the attention has been a lot different. Just little things I realized I probably can't just walk to the stringers. You've done weird the past however many years I've played this tournament. I tried that a couple days ago and I think I stopped a little bit. But other than that, I mean, I've always gotten great support here. I think it's really gone up a few notches because of Mallorca and Wimbledon. But at the end of the day, it's a pretty good problem to have. That really people want to come out and support you, really want to see you do well. You can't really ask for that.
Chris, can you speak to the growing diversity in this sport?
Yeah, it's. I mean, I think it's been growing for years, especially on the women's side. I think the women's side you've seen a lot of growth from diversity, and I don't think it's no secret that Venus and Serena played a huge part of that. I think they've inspired so many young girls of color to really jump into the sport, which has been great. But I think now we're seeing a little bit of a train on the men's side, where a lot of young boys of color were really wanting to jump into the sport. It's something that, especially for growing up in Atlanta, although it's the largest tennis market, I think in the U.S., wasn't really cool to be a black kid really playing tennis. And I think now that it's starting to shift, and we're seeing a lot of the success that Francis has had at the U.S. Open. I think it kind of opened the eyes to tons of little black boys to say, hey, that can be you one day. And then follow that up with Ben Shelton, obviously Australian Open quarterfinalist. It's like, hey, there's another one that can be you. And I think the more that they see, the more we can get little black boys into the sport.
Chris, you said in Miami that when you made the quarters, you wanted to really try to be consistent. How proud are you to be consistent, but also on another surface?
Yeah, I did say that. I remember it, and I'm overall very, very pleased with the consistency that I've shown. It's always been something that I've struggled with throughout my career. I could have hot and cold weeks or hot and cold matches, but I think now I'm kind of hitting my stride and being able to put together quality wins every single week. And even if I'm not winning, at least putting forth a good effort and playing the right way, which is something I don't think I always did. So, it's nice that wins are coming, but most of all, I think I'm pleased with the level that I'm bringing and the commitment that I've had. So, like I spoke about a lot of the small details, just staying consistent with those. That's probably what I'm most pleased with. Yeah, I think, and obviously the wins are nice, but I don't want how I feel on the court to be predicated on whether or not I'm winning or losing. It's more so just about like, hey, am I doing the right stuff? If I am, good things are going to happen at some point.
I think that attention network is where you're telling being glorified. I don't like being challenged all the time. What was maybe the least, or most discouraged you were that a moment like this maybe wasn't going to happen?
I can't name any real one in particular moment. I know the Chicago Challenger was a pretty tough one for me. I had experienced a little bit more success, I think, at tour level. I think going into that, if I'm not mistaken, in the Chicago Challenger that year, and to show up there, I lost first round. That was a point of just, I think, frustration. But I've had that moment, frustration, numerous times throughout my career. There's so many times in which I've said, I want to be out of the Challenger. I want to be out of the Challenger. But I think up until last year, it was just kind of a lot of worry and hoping. And I think after that frustration in Chicago that I felt, that I said, all right, I got to change something. I got to let's start seeing what the warm-ups and cool-downs about. Let's start seeing what the stretching is about. Let's start seeing what, nutrition, sleep, all of the other little things that I just kind of took for granted, and I just wanted to work hard on in the gym. I think that was when I really made a change. Just saying. But you can use that. You can say Chicago was really a turning point. But there were, trust me, I was on tour for 5 years. There was a lot of low points, a whole lot of them.
2 more questions, please.
Here's to have